Why hello there, welcome back and welcome to a review video. Today I am going to be reviewing some of the China 3D parts for the 1:200 scale model of the Titanic. I have been sent most of these parts free of charge, and I'll be reviewing them against the kit offerings from Trumpeter and also offerings from the KA set, and I'll be giving my own judgment on what I think of these. The orange parts were sent to me free of charge, and the grey parts I ordered myself. So, just to say, before we crack on, I'm not affiliated in any way with China 3D. I don't get a commission or anything like that for the parts sold. This is just my own personal opinion of these parts and what I think of them. So, without any further ado, let's crack on. So firstly, let's have a look at the cranes. So, this is the offering from the Trumpeter Kit, as is, and I've just fully made one up, so you can get an idea. This is the offering from the KA set, fully PE. Not the easiest thing in the world to put together, but I'll show you how I did that in just a second. And then lastly here is the 3D printed offering. There's also the actual control mechanism of the crane, and on the left in the grey is the KA sets version, and on the right is the China 3D. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the building process for a KA set crane. I'm doing this for a few reasons. Firstly, because a few people have asked me to do it, and it's something I haven't covered in any detail in other videos. But also it gives a bit of context on how much effort it takes to get a KA set crane up and running versus the China 3D. Please note, I am speeding this up because the video is not really about KA, it's about China 3D. But as I say, it's useful to see the process for one product so that you see it in context against another. So now that you've seen the way that the KA crane is actually made, let's have a comparison of all these cranes. First off, here is the one from Trumpeter. This is the one that you get straight out of the box in the Trumpeter Kit. And yeah, I don't think it's bad. I think the Trumpeter Kit gets a lot of stick that really I don't think it deserves. I think this is pretty good, really. They've got the detail on the boom is very nice. You've got things like the handrail for the operator's protection. It's a nice piece of PE there. The hook at the end is maybe a little bit more clunky perhaps, but I think this is pretty good. And, you know, bear in mind, this is my finger next to it. You know, it's not a big piece. You've got to be squinting at the model pretty hard before you start noticing this level of detail. But this is why we like these parts beneath, because the detail is so exceptional. So here is the KA set, and here is the appropriate crane machinery platform for the boom. And you can see they're very nice. They work very nicely together. That should be the other way up, actually. Like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare this, the KA, to this, the China 3D. And to be fair to KA, there's not that much in them, but what I would say about the China 3D, which is the orange part, what I would say about that is it just feels like it's a higher resolution. You can see things like the relay boxes at the top of the crane. On the China 3D part, they are smaller whilst retaining the same detail. And it's the same with things like the rivet detail on the actual platform as well. Again, they manage to be smaller whilst keeping the same level of detail. You can also see there the printing resolution on the KA versus the printing resolution on the China 3D. We're into real subtleties now, but there is a difference, and the China 3D is higher quality. And if we look at the booms of the cranes as well, again, there's not a lot in them. KA set is fully photo etch, and this is fully 3D printed. On the KA set though, nice detail, really nice. I particularly like the cross beams on this crane. You really sort of see how the structure of the boom was made, you know, in the metalwork. And also you have that really nice wheel at the end with the spokes. It's a really nice part, the KA set. But once again, I would say that the China 3D pips it. Just on little things, you can see along the length of the boom, you can actually you can see the eye section that the crane was made from. You've got that cross-sectional detail going down the length of the crane as well. And at the forward end, once again, you have genuinely breathtaking details in there. So we're getting to the point, really. This is the sort of stuff that you would need a magnifying glass to really see. But the detail really is special. Almost, you've actually got seams of rivets down the length of this boom, which is just fantastically good quality. So, welcome to the Forecastle deck. And what I'm going to show you first is the forward hatch cover. So, this is, again, fantastic detail. You can see the seams of rivets down the front, the connection between the actual hatch and its sides. I particularly like, you can see the rivet detail connecting these triangular support structures onto the actual side of the hatch cover as well. The print detail on the top is spectacular again. And I mean, I think really, if you haven't got the message by now, you never will. These are top quality. But I think they really come into their own when you compare them against the Trumpeter offering. So on my kit, to be clear, this is a bit of a blend of the Trumpeter deck, the forward hatch cover, with additions from the KA set. So on the kit, the forward hatch cover comes as part of the Forecastle piece pre-moulded in. And what I have done is I have added to this a few little things from the KA set. So there's the these triangular pieces at the side are part of the KA set, and also this sort of rim that goes around the side. That's also part of the KA set. So I've sort of supplemented mine to give it a bit more detail. But when we compare the two, you'll notice a few different things. Firstly, there is a sort of flattened section along the top, which is not present on the Trumpeter offering. The portholes on the China 3D are significantly larger than the Trumpeter offering, which is a lot more accurate to the original ship. Also, these minor hatches on the top of the hatch cover, they're a lot prouder on the China 3D part. They're much, much thinner on the Trumpeter offering. They don't stand out as well. And again, China 3D just gets that historical accuracy of the actual ship down a bit better there. The last, and perhaps the most obvious observation I'd have as well, is that this large section at the front, this large sloped section with the really nice rivet details, this is a lot larger on the China 3D part than it is on the Trumpeter part. And once again, China 3D gets the nod for the historical accuracy, because I'm not entirely sure why, but for some reason on the Trumpeter part, it's just this actual piece is just not shown as being as big, and I don't really understand why. So that is the forward hatch cover. And on to the anchor chains and windlasses. Once again, detail is just second to none. I particularly like the linkage here that comes from the engine that drives these anchor chains. It's just, it looks like it is about to move. It's that crisp and well done, you know. These hand wheels at the top are really special. That little seam of rivets again around the side where the anchor chains fall through the deck is gorgeous. One of the other things that I also really like about this, and you might remember me sort of talking about this when I was doing my own anchor chains, is if you look at how they are laid, it makes sense. You can see that the links sort of go one like that, then one like that, cross, 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 like that. And that is exactly how an anchor chain would rest on a flat surface. And you can see that at the latter point, when the chain is actually taut, so here, when the chain is actually supporting the weight of the anchor, the chain stops going diagonally across, and it starts being a flat link, then a vertical link, then a flat link, then a vertical link. And it's sort of attention to detail like that that is really, really good. And you can see again the way the chain actually wraps around the windlass. That is how the chain would have wrapped around the windlass. So it really does pick out all the detail that you would want. The final thing to show you is the steam whistles from China 3D. These come in a set of 4. There's the other 3, but I've just cut one out so that you can see it that a little bit better. Again, the detail on these is really lovely. You can see real definition in the body of the whistles, and they're a really nice part. I think the main benefit of this, though, over Trumpeter's own whistle, is that a lot of people have been struggling to cut out Trumpeter's whistle from the sheet it comes in. There's a lot of support structure on it. I think there's 3 or 4 bits that you need to clip to get the things out. And a lot of people have been finding that as they cut them out, they actually damage the whistle. And that's not wholly surprising. I mean, if you look how small the parts are, it's not surprising at all that they sustain damage when they're cut out. So if nothing else, that gives a win for the China 3D. But equally, as you would expect, and as I've been going on about continually throughout this video, the detail on these is just in a league of its own. So I think I'll bring up the negatives to start with, just so that we end on a positive note. As you might imagine, there's not really very many negatives. And these are the kind of things that probably are only negative to certain people. But I'll go into them because I do think they're pertinent. So the first, and perhaps the most pressing one, is that these aren't cheap parts, and that's not a criticism. You know, the development process for making a part like this, and the cost of actually, you know, owning the equipment that's capable of generating these kind of parts, means that they will always be expensive. So it's not a criticism, it's just an observation that they are quite expensive, and everyone's got a budget on their model that, you know, you got to adhere to. At the end of the day, it is only a model, and everyone has a price that they're willing to pay. The second thing, as I've said before, I just want to reiterate it. If you are the kind of modeller who loves the actual modelling process, then the 3D printed parts will take a lot of that away from you. You know, if you're the kind of person that likes to sort of sit down in the evening with a cup of tea, maybe some music on in the background, and your aim for the evening is, I'm going to make 2 of the photo etch cranes, and that's your evening's entertainment, that's 3 hours worth of modelling. If that's the sort of thing you really enjoy about the hobby, then the 3D printed parts, they just take that away from you a bit, because all of that work is done for you. And that, again, that's a consideration for each and every person to make themselves, because certain people really enjoy that modelling side of things, other people just want high detail, and that's a personal preference. The final thing that I would say, and again, this is just really an observation, but because these parts are pretty much ready assembled, what that means is that painting might be a little bit trickier. If you've got areas where you know, there's different colours and stuff, I often find it's much easier to paint those things before I glue them together. A good example is my photo etch benches. When I made those, I painted the black sides and the brown wooden slats separately, and then glued them together later, and because of that I got a really nice clean line on the joins between the paint colours. And so because these parts are 3D printed and they're already a unit, painting might be harder. But if you're a good painter, that's something that you don't need to worry about. But you know, just something to bear in mind. Obviously, the positives are that the detail on these is phenomenal. I really don't think you can improve upon this, to be honest, unless you're the kind of person that wants to inspect their model with a magnifying glass. I don't think there's really any point in getting any more detail, because it is just about as good as I reckon is necessary, to be honest. So the detail is really, really good. And of course, one of the negatives that I mentioned before can also be a positive if you're the kind of modeller who doesn't particularly enjoy the fine fiddly work. If you're the kind of person that wants an incredibly high detail finish, these deliver that without the tedium of having to cut parts out, glue them together, and all the frustration that comes with that. The other big positive, of course, about these parts is that some of them are quite a lot more accurate to the original ship than what you will get if you go with just the Trumpeter model. You know, the best example I think is the forward hatch cover, where the portholes are a bit wider, and also the front facing on that hatch is quite a lot more pronounced than it is on the Trumpeter offering. So of course, you know, you're getting a model which is slightly more truer to the original subject than you would otherwise. So the big thing, would I buy these? Unequivocally, yes. Yes, I would. I'm a sucker for detail, as you've probably noticed, and I really would like some of these in my life. These are sold just as a single unit, you know, so you buy the forward hatch cover by itself, or the anchor chains and windlasses by themselves, or the cranes and their bases by themselves. And what that means is you get a sort of nice pick and mix almost. You know, you can choose which bits you want and which bits you don't want. So if you're the type of person that does like the modelling, you can make the cranes yourself from the KA set or from the Trumpeter set, and you can have a nice 3D printed hatch cover, and that way you get a nice blend of detail, you know. I think these are a really good quality part, and if you've got the budget for it, I think they're well worth it, because it really will bolster the quality and the look of your model. Another thing to say is that there are other parts available from China 3D. I've only shown you a small selection of what they do, but they do some really nice high quality funnels which look brilliant. They do quite a lot of different doors for the model in various places. There's also various sort of things like, I think they're currently working on a bridge to replace the Trumpeter bridge. So there's a lot of other stuff available. So if you're interested in this sort of thing, the best way to find out information really is to go onto the Facebook page for this, and I'll put the name on the video, so that's on the screen now, and that's probably the best way that you can find out more. So I hope that was useful. Give me some comments on these, because this is only the second review I've done, and I'm never really sure whether what I'm saying is of any particular benefit or not. So please do, comment. Let me know what you think. Just to say, I have been sent 2 of these, 2 of the anchor chains and windlasses, and also 2 of the forward hatch covers. And also many whistles. So I'm going to be doing some giveaways for these later on, because unfortunately for me, my anchor chains and my forward hatch cover are already installed, and I really can't uninstall them to put something else in now. So I'm going to give away everything that you see on the table, i.e. all of this stuff. So in future videos I'm going to be doing some giveaways, so look out for that. If you fancy getting yourself some free, really nice quality 3D printed parts, look out for them. I'll do a sort of mini competition or something, we'll see how we go on that one. So look out for that in future videos. If you've enjoyed this, like and subscribe. There are some links to where you can buy these parts down below. As I say, I'm not affiliated with China 3D in any way. I don't get any commission or anything like that. It's just, I appreciate some people who watch these videos don't, have social media, don't go on the model's Facebook page and that sort of thing, and so don't perhaps have access to getting these any other way. So there are some links down below if you're interested in buying them. And yeah, any questions, comments, whack them down below. I'll do my absolute best to get back to you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one when I will be back to modelling. Bye-bye for now.